Welcome everybody, it's Debbie O'Neill of Scrap Me Quick Designs in the Let's Learn Cricut Explore Facebook group. And I am continuing with my series of lessons on Design Space 3. And this is lesson number 4, and we are talking about images, just an overview of images. And we are going to get started. So you'll see that I am in Design Space 3. And there's two ways for you to start a new project. So you can go over here where you have your My Project filter, and the first one you see here is New Project. It's got the little green circle with the plus on it. Before we had a little blue icon, so it just looks different. And then up here in the right-hand corner, you can also just select this New Project green tile. Okay, so either way you can start a new project. And so I'm just going to click on my little green circle arrow over here, and now I am in my virtual mat. Okay, and we're going to talk about a couple of different things here. So at the top of your screen now, you have your edit panel where you're going to change your dimensions and flip and manipulate your images is now up here in the top. Okay, so it's no longer in a little separate drop down over here underneath by your layers panel. It's at the top. And then over here we have our layers panel, and we're going to notice that up here we have the layers panel, and we have color sync are still up here where we can get to it. But the group, ungroup, duplicate, and delete are now up here at the top instead of at the bottom. Before they were in the bottom of this panel, and now the features slice, weld, attach, flatten, and contour are now at the bottom of that right panel. All right, we had a few people confused about that when they first started looking at Design Space 3. So they moved those. Also over here, you could certainly start a new project if you wanted to up here. That's where that little plus is. And then you can get to Make It Now projects here. You can look at images, text, shapes, and upload. So that's in your left-hand panel here. And we're going to be working with images. So let's go into images. Now, your images, when you just go into images, you're going to have some images that Cricut has decided are part of whatever theme they have for that time frame. So this is constantly changing. It gives you a fresh new look and feel for different images maybe you hadn't noticed before, and they're always kind of whatever the latest trend is or whatever the latest theme is. So right now we're in spring, and so this is now going to show you lots of spring images. All right, so this is going to change. People ask me that all the time as well. How come when I open this, there's always something different there? It's not alphabetical. It is based on theme. And you'll notice that the image tiles, that's what these white boxes are called here with the image on it. Those are tiles. And you'll notice that they're nice and large now. So that's really cool. So you can see the image up close. Now, you'll also notice that when the tile's large, you only have a selection of a few of the images to look at. You can come over here to the upper right hand side, and there's this little grid, and when you click on that grid, it'll take you to smaller tiles, so you'll have more selection in front of you without having to scroll. Okay, so you can go back and forth on that. Maybe you just want to kind of flip through here. Since this defaults to kind of the current, whatever the current theme is, this is a great way to just get a feel for other things that are in Design Space that you may not have noticed before. So that's great. You also have a way we can go in and do a search for the images, and you can do categories and cartridges. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But the thing I wanted to talk about on these tiles, I'm going to go back to the large image just so you can see it easier. So you're going to notice that on these tiles, there's this little green flag on there with an A. That means that these images are in Cricut Access Library subscription. All right, so anytime you see that little green A on here, you're going to know it's part of the subscription, and it would be free for you to use as long as you have that subscription. All right, it also on this banding on this tile lets you know what level of ownership you have of that image. So you'll notice that the one to the left here says purchase. That means that this image set, while it's in Cricut Access Library, I can tell that because it has the green flag on there. It is also part of an image set that I already own. I purchased that, it's mine. If I stop having Cricut Access Library, I still have that image because I purchased it, okay? Now, if you look at the one to the right, the little butterfly box, you'll notice that it says subscribed, okay? I do not own this one. This one I can use because I have the Cricut Access subscription. Now, if I didn't own it, it would say, let me see if there's one I can find here that has a price on it. Probably not likely. I either own them or subscribe to them. We'll find one with the price later. Okay, so this will give you an idea of what your ownership level is. That's what the subscribe and purchased. If it's a free image, it'll say free. There are free images in Design Space. And then all of these have a little eye icon on them. And when you click on that eye icon, it's going to tell you the name of that image. So this one is Butterfly Box. It tells you the image set number, the image number itself, that's Design Space number, I guess. And so that's always a hashtag M and then whatever the number is. Sometimes you want to know that because maybe someone asks you, what is that image name and or image number? And this way you can always go look, or maybe you want to know for yourself. And then it always tells you what image set did that come from. Okay, so this one comes from Tablescape Spring and Summer image set or cartridge. And if you click on this, it'll actually go to that cartridge and show you every image that's in that cartridge. So this is Tablescape Summer and Spring, and there's 50 images total. So maybe you wanted to see if there was another similar product here that you wanted. So here's that little butterfly box, but there's lots of other cute little boxes too that are but have different toppers on them. And there's complementary images that go with this, okay, because it's all part of this image set. Okay, so that's how you can get some information about the images that you're looking at. And then, of course, we can do a search for images. So let's just do butterfly because it's spring and butterflies are so pretty. So I'm going to hit enter. And now I have 514 results for butterflies in Cricut Design Space. That's a lot of butterflies. Now, here we go. I can show you this. So this first one has a little green A. So what does that mean? It's part of the Access subscription. Do I own this one? This is my ownership level. Yes, I purchased this, so I do own it. The one next to it, it doesn't have the little green A, so it's not part of the Access library. And my ownership level is I don't own it. I didn't purchase it or subscribe to it. There's a price here. I have to pay if I want to use this one. So that's how you know, is it included? Is it not included? You know, do I own it? Do I not own it? If you're looking at a particular image, that's a great way for you to be able to tell that. Okay, so we've got all these different butterflies on here, but let's say that I go in here and I really like this butterfly. So I'm going to select this butterfly and I want to see where did this butterfly come from? So here's the butterfly. It says butterfly, how clever. And then it gives me the image number for that particular butterfly. And then it tells me that it is part of Live Simply. Okay, so if I go into Live Simply, that is the image set, it's going to give me all of those images that are part of Live Simply. So maybe I want the same look and feel of that butterfly on other images that I want to use on my project. So we can come down here and here's the butterfly. So I'm going to pick the butterfly and you'll notice that when I select the butterfly, it has a green banding box around it now. That is how you put it in your system tray down here that you're going to add to your mat. So you'll see that down here and I can go in and let's say, I like the butterfly. I think that frog is super cute. I'll go through and pick this. I like the Be Happy. We'll do that and maybe the bumblebee here. And I'm just going to pick 3 or 4 more things here. Okay, so as I pick them, you'll notice they have these green banding boxes on them and they come down here in your tray. But let's say before you put these on your mat, you're like, oh, I grabbed the wrong one. I don't want that one. Before we used to just click on this. This had little check marks here and you had to click on it to turn it off. Now you just click that image in your tray down here and it takes it off. It's not going to add it to your mat. But I can then come over here and do insert images. Ta-da! And guess what? Look how much bigger these come in. Before they were little 2-inch little 2-inch pieces that images that came over and you had to expand them to even see most of them, and now they come in a nice big size, so that is a great thing. But let's say you get these on your mat and you're looking at them and you're like, oh man, I should have grabbed a flower, or I should have grabbed another image. You can go back into images, and guess what? It doesn't go all the way back to searching every image in the Cricut library. It takes you right back to where you pulled that image from, and so because we were using images from Live Simply, so it takes me right back to Live Simply, and I can go in and pick another image. So let's say I really liked this toadstool with the flowers, so I'm going to click on this and I'm going to add that. So isn't that cool? I'm so glad to see that, because it makes it so much easier when you are not having to go back and recreate the wheel and go all the way back and do your searches again and everything. So that's a great feature. Now, the other thing I want to show you is over here. So I have the mushroom highlighted here. It's mushrooms and flowers. So when I come over here to my layers panel, it lets me know mushrooms and flowers is that name for that grouping of images. And now you see all the individual pieces here. Okay. Now, normally we didn't see this as a group, because let's say I go to cut this file out and I decided I don't want to cut the mushroom out right now. I just want to cut these other images, but I want to leave this on here in case after I start working on my project, I do want to go back and add the toadstool. I can come up here and I can click the little eye next to where it says mushroom and flowers, because this is the grouped name, and I can click that, and now it's still here, but we've turned all the layers off of the mushroom and flowers in one click, so that I can cut these other images out, and mushroom and flowers will not cut out right now, but it's still on my mat. It's still here in my project rather, and I can go in and turn it back on if I decided later I did want to go in and add it to my project. Okay, so that's a really cool thing. So let's say, so we're looking at the butterfly. So I go to butterfly. I can do the same thing with that butterfly. If I decide I don't want it, I can click the eye and it'll take that off. You'll see that each of the layers of the butterfly are right here in that first column. Those are always the layers of your images. So this butterfly has 1, 2, 3, 4 images, 4 layers, and they're all cut. Okay, and then these are the current colors that has been selected for them. So I'm going to click on the butterfly, and you'll notice that when you click on that particular layer, it's going to give you this kind of a grade in selection, so you know that that's what you're working with. So this is the top layer of that butterfly, and now you're in your layer attribute panel where you see the cut, write, score, and print, and we'll be going over all of those features at another time. You'll also see here it says see image information. So if you wanted to go in and look and say, what is the name of the image I have selected? It's a butterfly, there's the number, and then there again it says view cartridge, because this came from the Live Simply cartridge. You could click on that and it would show you the cartridge as well. So that's where that information is located. It used to be a little eye icon at the top of that layers panel. Sorry. It used to be up here in the corner and it was hard for people to see it. So now it's here where it says see image information. And then you're going to notice that it says current colors. All right. Now current colors here means everything that's on this particular cutting mat this is what all the colors currently are on those projects, however they're colored. Okay, that just helps you visually as maybe you're pulling paper that you want to use. You can already kind of see, let's say you really like the way those colors look, and so you're going to pull paper those colors. That gives you a real quick glance at what those colors would be. Now, of course, you can always go in. I've got this top layer highlighted. Let's say I didn't want it to be red. I want it to be purple. So I can go in and change it, and then you'll see it changes the color of the image, and it also changes it over here. Now, you can certainly do the RGB codes for colors as well. You can type those in here. You can manipulate your colors based on, changing it onto, let's say I wanted a darker purple, I can actually manipulate my colors this way. Now, this doesn't make your paper that color. You still have to pull your paper to make it that color. But if you're going to do print then cut, changing the colors of your project is very helpful because then it will print out in that color. Or maybe you just want to kind of color coordinate and you want to see, I really like these images, but I don't like the colors that came in with those from Design Space, and you want to create your own color palette, and then you want to be able to pick your own colors when you pull your papers or your vinyl or whatever you're cutting. So you can change your colors of your images here. Okay. Let's see. So those are there. We talked about that these got switched around. Um, let's see. Oh, okay. The other thing I wanted to show you was you can click on an image, okay, and you can highlight an image and it's just that one particular image. But sometimes we were trying to grab a particular image, okay, and you clicked on it and you have this banding box. It used to be blue, now it's purple, and you have the banding box on here. And when you let go of this, guess what it does now? It grabs anything that was touching that banding box is now grouped. Okay, so you want to be careful with that a little bit. I just wanted to point that out. So I'm going to just click off of that so it is no longer grouped. And if I just want that one image, all I have to do is just click on that one image. Okay. If you wanted to grab two images, that makes it really quick because all you have to do is just put it over some of it and it's going to group those two images for you. And that comes in handy with different images that you're working with, but I wanted to point that out because it's a little bit different than it was before. Let's see. Okay, so your sizing, I'm going to move Be Happy down here. Your sizing is up here where you manipulate the size for your image, and this is your edit panel. So you can select an individual image, or you can do select all, and it's going to pick all of your images that to size them or whatever. I'm going to go back to Be Happy, and you can flip your images here. So this is, let's say, oh, let's see. All right, let me show. This is a better one to show y'all. So this butterfly, if you notice this image set here, the bumblebee is pointed to the right, right? His little antennas are pointing to the right. But let's say for your particular project, you really wished he was facing the other way. You can come over here to where it says flip, and you can flip it horizontally. So now he's flipped the other direction. Okay, so that comes in handy, particularly when you're working with cards or maybe even layouts and you're trying to get it in a certain orientation for your project. So there's where you can change that. And then sizing is right here. So it's just like it was before where it comes in and it's always proportionately locked. And that means that if you change the height or the width, let's say you change the width of this project, you just click on the arrows and it will change it to it's bigger, okay? Or you can type in the number. Okay, so I typed it in at 4 inches. It proportionately changed this image. So now it's 4 inches wide and it's 3.625 inches high. All right. Now let's say I wanted to kind of manipulate this a little bit differently. I can unlock that proportion lock. Okay, and when it does that, you'll notice that the little lock opens. These are additional grab handles that you can manipulate your images with, and I'll show you that in a minute. They do the same functions up here in your panel, your edit panel. But let's say I want this to be taller. I wanted to stretch it a little bit more, so I can change just the height of it. Okay, I can change the height of it, but it did not change the width of it because I unlocked the proportion change. Okay, and let's say I did that and I'm like, oh, good Lord, what did I do? I don't want to do that. Up here in the left-hand corner, it says undo rather, and you can do that and it'll take it right back to what it was before. Okay. Um, let's say rotate lets you rotate your image, and this does it in little teeny tiny increments. You can even hardly tell that it's rotating. Um, and this might be good for if you're trying to place it in a particular area on your mat and you're just trying to maneuver it a little bit. And then position your X and Y axis. That has to do with if you're trying to cut it out. Let's say you have a whole sheet of cardstock or a piece of cardstock, and you want to try to center it on a certain axis within that piece of material. The X and Y you can do that with because you would position it on here, and I'll cover that in a different video later. But let's talk about these grab handles. Okay, that's what these are. These are called grab handles, and it makes it really super easy for you to manipulate with your images. So this is the lock proportion. Okay, now it's locked. So if I use the grab handle here, this allows me to scroll to make that image bigger or smaller by pulling it in or out. And you'll notice that the dimension right here changes as you pull this bigger and bigger. That lets you know that it is 5.33 inches wide and it is 4.766 inches high. Okay, so you can do this if you want. Sometimes I just use the grab handles. I don't come up here and use the edit menu. I do it right here until I get it to fit where it is that I want it to be. Okay. You can also rotate it, your image up here with this little arrow. So if you're trying to like put it in a certain orientation or maneuver it or whatever, that's an easy way to do that. And it lets you know how you're doing there. And then if you want to delete this image off your mat, you want to get rid of it, you can just click this X and it will remove it from your project. Okay. Oh my gosh, I didn't mean to remove it. What do I do? I can come over here to undo. And there it's back again. Yay. Okay, so I wanted to show you that because I had people all the time going, oh no, I had it sized just the way I wanted it. And then I hit the X and I've deleted it. Just hit undo. Undo is your friend. Let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to show you? I think those are the main things that I wanted to show you about your images. We're going to cover slice and weld and attach and flatten in a separate video. But I wanted to just show you where you find your images, how do you get to them, what do you do with them, that kind of thing. Let's see. Oh, let's talk about saving your project. Okay, so this would be, I'm going to cut these images out. Maybe I'm going to be putting them on a scrapbook page or something. So I've sized them all however I want them. And then you come up here where it says my project. Next to that, it says save. Okay, so I'm going to hit save. It's going to have this little drop down window, and then you can name your project. Okay, so I'm going to say spring layout. Okay, then here it automatically defaults to checkbox public, and that means that these are all Cricut images that are in here. And if I choose to share this particular project, when I save it, I would be able to share it because it's public. It does not mean that the public can see your image, can search for your project. It just means that if you choose to share it, you would be able to share it with others. Okay. You cannot share images that are proprietary, so you cannot share images that you have uploaded into Design Space. It will not allow you to do that. Okay, so your SVG files and things like that, you cannot share those project files. Okay, so we're going to say save. Okay, it says project saved. You've successfully saved it. Awesome. I can come over here to my projects up here in the top right panel, and guess what? There is my spring layout. There's my images for my spring layout. Okay, now if you click on that project, it'll take you right back in, and look what it's done now. It has given me a view. When I click my projects, it lets me know these are all of the images. It tells me the name of the image, it tells me the image number, and it tells me what image set that those came from. All right, so that's awesome. Now, here we can also, if you want to delete this project, let's say you created something and you're like, oh, I'm never going to cut that again, or oh, I don't like that file, I don't want to use it. You can delete the entire file here. Okay, you can also rename your project. So if you hit rename, let's say you spelled it incorrectly, or you wanted to be more specific about the project. So I might want to go in and add spring be happy layout. Okay, and you could do that, and then you hit the little apply up here, and it's going to change the name of your project. So that's something else about the images that you should know. So now I've got those. It says spring be happy layout, and then you could tell it open, and then that's going to take you back to your virtual mat, and there's your images. Okay, so that's how you save your projects. Let's see, what else did we want to look at here? Anything else? I guess we should do a search for, we talked about images. I'm going to go back to the image screen, and let's look at cartridges. So if you do a cartridge search, cartridges are always going to be in alphabetical order, and then it lets you know what's the name of the cartridge. It lets you, the little green access flag is up here, so you know whether or not that image set or cartridge is included in Cricut Access Library. It also, your ownership level for that cartridge is also right here. So this one, the 2017 calendar, is a free image set that everybody can use in Design Space. And then it lets you know if it's what your ownership is. So this one's purchased. This is one that I have no ownership of this because it's just part of Cricut. It's an exclusive for the Cricut Access Library. And you can kind of see here, there's some that are purchased, there's some that are subscribed. It kind of changes depending upon what your access level was. Like I showed you the individual images, it does the same thing for your cartridges. Okay, you can certainly go in and type in, I'm going to search for Anna, and now I have all the Anna Griffin cartridges or image sets. Okay, some of hers are physical cartridges and some of hers are just digital image sets that you purchase. And so it lets you know all of these. Now Anna is, you will notice, none of hers have, oh, I take it back. Most of hers are not part of the Cricut Access Library. This one is part of the Cricut Access Library, but it does not cut out these intricate pieces on here. It only gives you the gatefold card part, not the top layer. And that was just a free thing that Cricut worked with Anna on adding to Design Space. But most of Anna's images are all licensed images. So they are not part of Cricut Access subscription, but you can purchase that or purchase individual images. But this way you can look for, you can just type in a word and pull up the cartridges for that word. Okay. If I wanted to go in and type Disney, it would pull up all the Disney cartridges that are in Design Space. Okay, so here's all the Disney, and you'll notice that Disney is a licensed image set, so none of them have the green flag here. Okay, here's one I do not own. The rest of these, you'll see most of these I have purchased them at one time or another, so I do own them because they're not part of the Access Library, so I always want to purchase those. And like this Disney Princess Believing in Dreams is one that I have not purchased, so it gives you the list price, and if you wanted to buy it, you can buy it from here. And when you're in Design Space, you can actually purchase it that way, or you can go in and purchase individual images too. Okay, so that's cartridges. just to kind of give you a feel for that. You can also go into the filter here like you can with your image sets, and you can pick, I want all my cartridges, I want ones that are free, I want the ones that are only included in Cricut Access, or ones that I purchased, okay? So you can certainly filter them those way. Now let's talk about categories real quick. Categories in Design Space helps kind of group certain types of images for you. So this is really handy. A lot of you may not realize, but Cricut has free images every week, and they change them every week. I think they come out on a Wednesday, and then they're good through the next Tuesday, and then they start all over again. So this, if you want to know what the free image is for that week, you click free this week, and usually it's an image set. So you get access to a certain number of images, but they're only free to you for that 1 week. So if you don't own that, or it's not part of the Cricut Access library, you can cut it just for that 1 week. Even though you make a project and you save that project, if you don't cut it the week that it's free, it will come back and ask you, let's say you wanted to cut it the following week. If you don't own it, it's going to ask you to pay for it. Okay. So when you see these free for this week only, and you want to cut something with it, cut it during that weekly period. Okay. So let's see. We're going to go back into categories. There's also most popular, and that's just kind of what people are cutting, and Cricut keeps up with all that. And then there's recently added. So this is kind of fun because sometimes you just want to see, is there anything new I haven't seen or whatever? And you can scroll through here, recently added. But the thing that I use the most is categories. Okay. So they are broken down by theme. So let's say I am trying to think of something I can use for a birthday. Okay. No, oh, Cinco de Mayo. Let's do Cinco de Mayo. There's Cinco de Mayo right here. So there's different holidays, different themes, and so forth. So Cinco de Mayo is May 5th, and so I'm going to pick that because we're going to have tacos and people over and drink margaritas and whatever, and I want to create some decor or something. I can pick Cinco de Mayo, and it's going to give me lots of fun shapes that I could use in Design Space. Okay, so I love this. Super cute. Um, and so using the categories can help you. Let's say I need ideas for birthdays. What images are in Design Space for birthdays? I can just hit that category birthday, and it's got all kinds of birthday stuff in it. And sometimes this is a great way for me to spark my creativity by just giving me ideas of what's out there and available. And so I really like using the categories. Okay. Now at the bottom of the categories, when you scroll down, you will see that now we have brands. Okay. Now brands are going to be the licensed cartridge sets. Okay. When we say license, these are designers who have created images for Cricut that they sell to you, but they are not able to make them part of the Cricut Access library, and we don't usually see any of these in the free images. Okay, so unless that designer's granted us some free ones. So if you were wanting to know what are the images that are not in Cricut Access library, this is a good quick place for you to go, and you can see which of these designers are on here, because their images will not be in Design Space. So let's say you wanted to see Lori Whitlock's one of my favorites. So I'm going to pick Lori Whitlock, and it's going to come up and it's going to give you every image that's part of Design Space that's a Lori Whitlock image. Okay. Now I purchased her content and her image set. So mine say purchase, but if you don't own this already, it would give you a price, and you could pick that individual image to purchase, or you could purchase the whole image set from her. Okay, but that lets you know that's a good way to do this. So I wanted to point that out as part of the images because that is a great way to do that. And let's see what else. I think that kind of covers the images for right now. Like I said, I'm going to go into more detail on manipulating your images, but this was about just an overview of images and where to find them and what to do with them and kind of what the new look and feel is. So stay tuned for lesson number 5, where we're going to be reviewing all the new text features in Design Space 3. Thanks for joining me.